Hello dear students, now is the time for our English language online class. We are continuing chapter 7. It is a very nice story, Traveling with Grandfather Zoo by the popular author Ruskin Bond. You know, as I told you before, as the author spent much of his lifetime in the foothills of Himalaya, basically in Dehradun. So, most of his stories are set in the lap of beautiful Himalaya and are nature based. This is a nice story which is narrated by a young boy here. Here in this story, the narrator was going from Dehra to Lucknow. According to the narrator, as he tells us through the story, they lived in Dehra and for some months they were going to Lucknow. For that reason, they boarded at the Lucknow Express. The narrator, along with his grandfather and grandmother, boarded the train. As his grandmother insisted on taking her pet parrot named Popeye along, so grandfather and the narrator insisted on bringing their pet too. Grandfather's pet was a teenaged tiger named as Timothy and a small squirrel named Chips. They all are in this picture, you can see. And the Chips, the small squirrel, was the pet of the narrator. And we learnt through the story that they had very unusual pets too. That was a python. They leave the python behind at their home because they thought that it may not be wise to keep it with themselves in a train journey. So, here as the family with their pet boarded the train, then and there the pet parrot of grandmother, it named as Popeye, cried in a sharp, shrill sound. The sound as the parrots usually make, sharp, shrill sounds. All aboard the parrot cried. You know, parrots can imitate humans' voice, so it knows to tell such words. So it is a story of the time when the narrator, that means the author, was a young boy. That means it was an incident long ago. Suppose about 75 or 80 years ago. In those days, Indian trains were not so crowded like nowadays. So it was possible to travel with various types of creatures. That means with those unusual pets. They boarded the family, the narrator and with her grandmother and grandfather boarded in first class coach and so had 4 berth compartment of their own. Timothy, the tiger, occupied an entire berth. We can see in this picture, it is the upper berth. According to the narrator, later everyone, whoever met them throughout the journey, agreed that Timothy was a well-behaved tiger. A compliment indeed, isn't it? So, even the guard admitted that he was better than common passengers. According to him, that means the guard, according to the guard, usually the common passengers steal from vendors, shouting at coolies, so make a noisy circumstances, and break railway properties many times, anger, and spits on the platform. But the well-mannered tiger didn't perform any of these nuisance. Now, remaining part of the story. All the same, the journey was not without incident, and before we reached Lucknow, there was excitement enough for everyone. Actually, the journey, according to the narrator as he tells us here in this story, the train journey was not without incident. I think it means that it was not with a totally peaceful journey at all. And before they reached Lucknow, there was many such incidents that brings excitement for everyone of the family, and I think that for everyone who are the passengers on that train. To begin with, Popeye objected to vendors and other people poking their hands in through the windows. Firstly, what was the incident? The Popeye, the parrot, poking the hands of the vendors. You know, there was the chai wala or the other hawkers, and the parrot poking all these vendors' hands through the windows. Okay. And before the train had moved out of the Dera station, he had nipped 2 fingers and tweaked a ticket inspector's ear. Before the train started from Dera station, that parrot nipped, that means bite, 2 persons' fingers, and tweaked means twisted and pulled a ticket inspector's ear. Just think about that. So we can tell that the parrot is a naughty parrot indeed. Okay. No sooner had the train started moving than Chips, my squirrel, emerged from my pocket to examine his surroundings. Before the train started, then Chips, the squirrel, the narrator's pet, the squirrel, just came out from his pocket to examine his surroundings. Okay. Before I could stop him, he was out of the compartment door, scurrying along the corridor. The narrator tried to stop his pet, the squirrel, but he was out of the compartment door very fastly and just scurrying along the corridor. Next, Chips discovered that the train was a squirrel's paradise. Almost all the passengers having bought large quantities of roasted peanuts before the train pulled out. You know, in the train, usually in train journeys, we maximum people like to have the peanuts, roasted peanuts, isn't it? So every people, almost all the passengers, they bought a large quantity of roasted peanuts. Actually, you know, squirrels love to eat peanuts, so that the squirrel, pet squirrel Chips, discovered the train as his paradise, as there was lots of peanuts with every passengers. He has no difficulty in making friends with both children and grown-ups, and it was an hour before he returned to our compartment. So within an hour the squirrel returned to the narrator and their compartment, and before that, within this time, the squirrel make friends with both the children and grown-ups. You know, the maximum of people love to watch the squirrels, as they are tiny and very naughty, isn't? And as I told you, and it was an hour before he returned to our compartment. That means the narrator's compartment, to the narrator. His tummy almost bursting. His means here the squirrels, as he ate much in large quantities of roasted peanuts from as he make friends with both children and grown-ups, and ate large quantities of roasted peanuts, that so that his tummy almost bursting. It was packed just before it before it burst. I think I'll go to sleep, said grandmother, covering herself with a blanket and stretching out on the berth opposite Timothy's. It's been a tiring day. Then the grandmother said that she is sleepy. Grandmother said that she is sleepy, and covering herself with a blanket, he stretching out on the berth just opposite. Stretching out on the berth just opposite Timothy's, and she said that it was a tiring day for her. Okay. Next, are not you going to eat anything? Asked grandfather. As grandmother going to sleep, covering herself with the blanket, then grandfather asked her that if she will eat anything. I am not hungry. I had some soup before we left. Grandmother replied that she was not at all hungry because she had some soup before she left for the journey. You two help yourselves from the tiffin basket. And grandmother told them that the narrator and his grandfather, to the narrator and his grandfather, that they both can eat if they wish from the tiffin basket. There was the tiffins or the dinner, I think. Grandmother dozed off, and even Popeye started nodding, lulled to sleep by the clackery clack of the wheels and the steady puffing of the steam engine. Grandmother was about to sleep, and Even Poppy started nodding. And as the wheel of the train had a certain sound which like a lullaby, and the steady puffing of the steam engine also do the same, and so they all feel sleepy. "Well, I am hungry," I said. "What did Granny make for us?" The boy, the narrator, asked told to his grandfather that he is hungry, and what was for the dinner. "Ham sandwiches, boiled eggs, a roast chicken, gooseberry pie. It's all in the tiffin basket under your berth." So she told that there was ham sandwiches, boiled eggs, a roasted chicken, gooseberry pie, and those all are in the tiffin basket under the berth. Okay, so that's all for today's class. And as we are going slowly through the story, I think it will be easier for you to understand and learn. So in my next class, I will tell you the remaining part of the story. Till then, you all stay safe and goodbye to you all.